You can hear it right here. That's me screaming because the guy in the striated sweater thing is reaching underneath my visor and trying to gouge out my eye with his thumb.
The January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol was an act of rioting, looting, and mass political violence. President Trump wants you to believe a different story.
They were there with love in their heart.
I call them the J6 hostages.
It was a beautiful day.
I pardoned J6 people who were assaulted by our government.
On the night of January 6th, when shattered glass and bloodstains were still on the ground and 140 police officers were injured, Trump tweeted, "Remember this day forever." Now he and his administration are trying to reshape how people remember that day. I'm an investigative correspondent at NPR, and I've watched this happen in real time. The government's database of the criminal cases deleted. FBI wanted posters removed. Video evidence disappeared. And then, of course, there's the rioters themselves, pardoned, nearly every single one. January 6th was probably the most filmed crime scene in American history, but some footage stands out more than most. It comes from the police body cams of two Washington, D.C. police officers, Daniel Hodges and Michael Fanone. They both experienced some of the most intense violence on January 6th, defending a tunnel into the U.S. Capitol from a mob of armed rioters trying to get inside. So as the president is trying to rewrite the history of what happened to them on tape, I sat down with Hodges and Fanone, and we watched that footage together, beat by beat. Hodges got to the Capitol grounds first. This was not long after Trump had told his followers that they should march to the Capitol, where Congress was set to certify the election. Trump said, "We fight like hell." He also said that people would make their voices heard peacefully and patriotically. But what Hodges saw was neither.
People filed down Constitution Avenue into the ellipse. They listened to the speakers and Trump telling them to fight. I was listening on the radio to our commander out there, getting more and more agitated because things were getting worse and worse over there, until eventually he called us as CD42 to come back him up at the Capitol.
Okay, that's a good point to, I think, watch the video. So I'll have you put on headphones so you can hear as well.
Yep, so we have arrived at the Capitol grounds. We put on our gear, start forming up into two columns. So it's just, 30 some odd of us surrounded by hundreds of these people who do not mean us well.
What's going on here, boys? Who are you working for?
10,000 of them total, I believe. Something like that. So we started putting our arms on each other's shoulders, trying not to get separated amid the crowd. That's not something that we've been drilled on. That's just something that we did spontaneously. Here we get attacked. They cut off our formation, so the leadership at the front, I guess, kept going, and then the rest of us got cut off from them, so we stayed behind and started defending ourselves. Someone tried to disarm me of my riot baton. I was able to retain my weapon. It's a sensory overload, like trying to figure out where a potential threat may be. I mean, I know that many of them are armed. And someone, here tries to take my baton again. We wrestle for control, go to the ground. He kicks me in the chest here. And at this point, I'm completely surrounded, have no one around me. The medical mask I was wearing gets pulled up over my eyes, so I'm blind. And on all fours, I feel like I'm about to just get destroyed. This one guy helps me up.
Hey, what can we do to help you? Hey, you guys, no, that ain't gonna happen. How can we get you out of here safely?
This guy is trying to ask me what they can do to help. And I said, leave. And he said, that's not gonna happen. So at that point, there's not much more to talk about. And we make our way to the police line, where Capitol Police and MPD are holding the line against the assailants. They let us in, and we are able to join the defense proper. At this point, I was hopeful that they would be satisfied with the ground they had taken, because they were already breaking the law by being where they are, and I was hopeful that would be enough.
And then this is around that same time this man with a camera is filming you and yelling at you.
Yeah.
We're gonna run over Do you think your little pea-shooter guns are going to stop this crowd? No, we're going in that building. Take off your badges.
Yeah, so he said, do you think your pea shooter guns are going to stop this crowd? Meaning that they're willing to get shot to accomplish their goal, to go inside the building and carry out whatever violence they had in mind.
A lot of people who maybe didn't know the context of January 6th would ask, why were there no arrests?
Yeah.
Could you just explain that?
Sure. To make an arrest, they require usually at least 2 officers. And once you have someone under arrest, you are responsible for them. You are responsible for their health and their safety, and you are responsible for transporting them securely to jail, to where they would be processed. I mean, we couldn't guarantee our own health and safety, let alone those of anyone else. And if we were to try to make arrests, every arrest would require at least 1 officer leaving the scene, and we needed every single officer we had. So it was not feasible to make any arrests. It would be irresponsible. It would be ineffective to our own defense. It would be dangerous. It was just not possible. Yeah, there's so many of them and so few of us that once we lose the line, there's no way of getting it back. So they break through, and it devolves in the West Front. It devolves into a series of pitched battles in between individuals. And I can't commit to an attack on anyone because once I do, 10 more people are going to come at me. This guy pushes me in the chest, pushing me back.
Get out of here! This is our house!
This champ over here thinks the Capitol belongs to him. And here I get pinned against this waist-high wall. You can hear it right here. That's me screaming because the guy in the striated sweater thing is reaching underneath my visor and trying to gouge out my eye with his thumb. While other people hold me down, but I was able to shake him off before any permanent damage was done. But they had already taken the Lower West Terrace at that point, and we couldn't mount an effective defense there. So we started retreating.
Now, at presidential inaugurations, this is the place where presidents typically exit the Capitol. They come out on stage before taking the oath of office. On January 6th, it was a crime scene. Police tried to lock the glass doors to keep the mob out, but it did not stop them.
He's got a weapon in his hand. Okay. Hold the line! Hold the line!
A couple dozen of us versus 10,000 of them trying to force their way in. Every time one of us couldn't take it anymore, we fell to the back, and they did the same for them, but we're going to run out of steam a lot sooner than they will because they have essentially unlimited reinforcements.
So at some point, it becomes your turn towards the front.
Correct, yeah. As people fall back, I move up until I'm at the front of the formation and trying to keep them out. Once I was at the front of the formation, I tried bracing myself against a metal door frame because every time they would push against us, they would push against the officers behind us. Unfortunately, once I had done that, the momentum had shifted, and I was getting pinned against the metal door frame. Someone with a police shield was on my left, keeping me pinned against it, because the video doesn't really do it justice how much of a sensory overload it was in that tunnel.
And they're yelling, "Join us."
Yeah, a lot of them thought that they would just walk up and say, "We're here to stop the steal," and we'd immediately be best friends and walk into the Capitol hand in hand and arrest Congress or whatever they thought. But it's not the way things turned out. And I could feel getting weaker and weaker, and I was afraid that I might lose consciousness or be killed there.
You were afraid you could be killed.
Oh, sure, yeah. I was unable to help myself. I did the only thing I could do at that point. I started calling for help. Thankfully, the officers behind me heard me, and they were able to take enough pressure off my side to pull me out and get me back to the rear.
Let's go get water. Let's go get water.
Let's go.
Great job, Hodges. Good job, all right? Good job.
So, yeah, what do you see in your eyes in that moment when you're just...
Tired, relieved to be
Yeah.
off the front line. Just hurting.
Behind the police line, Daniel Hodges took some time to recover from the assaults from the rioters in the tunnel and from earlier that day, all at the hands of people Trump now calls patriots. Like many other officers, he still remained at the Capitol until late that night to help police eventually secure the building. But at this point, the violence was far from over. As Hodges was pulled back, Officer Michael Fanone was just arriving at the tunnel. You can see Hodges on Fanone's body cam. Fanone patted him on the shoulder as he came behind the line.
Come on.
Allies of the president have said that Fanone exaggerated the violence on January 6th. Fox News said he deserved an award for acting. One pro-Trump writer, who's been invited to the Trump Justice Department, calls him a crisis actor. But the video from Fanone's body cam, presented in court, tells a different story. See for yourself.
As you're walking down, there are adjacent hallways, and they were filled with injured officers, guys who, under normal circumstances, would have been transported to the hospital. It's just not a scene that I had ever experienced in 20 years of inner city policing. And, I work narcotics. I've seen a few things.
Let's get some fresh faces up front. Fresh faces up front.
And you're about to get your first look at the rioters once you get to the front.
I felt like, hey, I just got here. These guys have been fighting for hours. The least I could do is go to the fucking front line so that somebody who's been there for a couple hours can either go to the back or get relieved or, do something.
Come on, everybody! You guys fight the right people. Yeah, come on. Push!
I remember trying to appeal to them and I said we have injured officers here. It just seemed to set these guys off, and immediately after that, it's like all hell broke loose, and we start into the melee. You're literally living second by second in that moment. I was just fully focused on doing everything that I could do to get these guys the hell out of my way and get them outside. And we started, we lost, a few feet before we started to somehow just gain traction and push them back.
Push them back!
I start to get pushed. The momentum of the officers from behind me keeps going forward.
It was at this point that a rioter named Albuquerque Head wrapped his arms around Fanone's neck and pulled him back into the mob on the steps of the Capitol.
Hey! I got one! I got an officer, what? Get him out of here! Get him fuck out of
here! Yep. This is the first time I realized, how big that crowd was. I mean, it was just, you see it just like you see it in the photographs of the day. It's just a sea of people and flags, and just the most surreal, optic imaginable. And on top of that, I'm trying to take that in and also, fight to stay alive. When I'm out in this crowd, I'm being assaulted from every direction. So I'm trying to keep people away from my weapon. I'm trying to keep people away from me. I'm exhausted. And it was not a good feeling.
You've been an officer for a long time. You've seen a lot of sketchy situations. Does anything remotely compare to this moment?
No. I've seen some things, and I never, ever once felt like I was not in control of what was happening. This was the first time I had experienced a situation in which I felt as though, there was very little I could do.
While Fanone was pinned by the crowd, a rioter named Daniel Rodriguez drove an electroshock device into Fanone's neck 2 times.
Like I was trying to appeal to the crowd, and I said, I have kids, in the hopes that, in that moment, maybe that would flick a switch, at least in some guys' heads, and it did. I mean, there were some individuals in the crowd that were trying to assist me, but there were a hell of a whole lot more that were trying to kill me. The last thing that I really remember was I remember somebody asking me where I wanted to go after they had kind of created this, barrier around me, and I said I wanted to go back inside, and that's when, like, my recollection goes from so vivid to like nothing.
Which way do you want to go? Which way do you want to go? Back inside. You want to go back inside? Officer down! Get him up! We need to hear cheese now! South Pole. Let's go. Rally's going for medicals at South Pole. We can take him up there. Move your hands. I got it. We're lifting him. We're lifting him, huh? Take the leg. Come on, get a leg. I got it. It's my partner. Come on. Turn right. This way. Where are we going? The south door. Mike, stay in there, buddy. Mike, it's Jimmy. I'm here. Mike. Hey, take his fucking vest off. Maybe he's having trouble breathing. Yeah, hold on. Take his vest off. Mike, I'm here for you, buddy. Come on, dude. He's not false, he's good. Right. Just stand by, he's got him. Watch out. For now, wake up, brother. Talk to me, man. Come on, Mike. Come on, buddy, we're going duck hunting soon. For now. You alright, brother?
Can you take that door back?
Nope. Yeah, we did. Yes, we did. We took the fucking door back. They're all outside.
Do you even remember saying that?
No, but I mean, it's like in character. Mm-hmm. I was always like a pretty mission-focused cop, and that was, that was a goal. Plus, I guess, subconsciously I was thinking if I just went through all of that and we lost the goddamn door, fuck.
Officer Michael Fanone was able to walk away from the Capitol, but he later checked into a hospital. There, doctors discovered that he had suffered a mild heart attack. For more than an hour, other officers continued to fight to defend the tunnel at the Lower West Terrace. Hodges was still at the Capitol when backup finally arrived and law enforcement was able to regain control of the building.
And I think it was Virginia State Police, a bunch of, 6'5", corn-fed troopers finally came and helped clear out the tunnel. I was not out there for that, but I've seen a video, and that was nice. So eventually everyone else was able to clear the grounds, and we stayed there until it was clear that the grounds were secure.
After the Capitol grounds were secured, at about 3:45 the following morning, Congress certified the 2020 election. Hodges went home. He visited a police medical clinic the following day.
I was beaten, punched, kicked, thrown to the ground. People had lacerations, got anything you can imagine, really, except getting shot. This is a very violent day.
I was later diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury. And I had a lot of cognitive issues, symptoms after that.
For how long?
Probably about a year. There's some stuff I don't think that's ever going to go away.
Since January 6th, both Fanone and Hodges have been outspoken about their experiences that day, and as a result, they've received harassment, even death threats. Fanone's mother has even been harassed at her home over January 6th. Fanone retired from the police department less than a year after the riot. And so the most surprising thing that happened in these interviews was something Fanone told me. This was just after we had watched the footage of him being beaten, tased, and knocked unconscious by a violent mob, and his partner was wondering if he would even survive.
How does it feel to watch that?
It doesn't. It makes me miss the job.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I loved being a cop. I really did. And it was like, it's one of those professions that just like, you can argue whether it's good or bad. It's probably pretty bad, but it just, like cannibalizes you. Like it just becomes your entire identity. And for 20 years, like that's who I was. All my social circles were cops, and, my kids played with other cops' kids, and it's just like, that was like everything. And it's, you watch this and it's like, it's the last time I got to be a cop.
I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear you say this is almost nostalgic, given how it was probably the worst day of your career in policing.
Was it incredibly violent? Yes. Were there moments that I was, terrified? Sure. But there were lots of those moments in my career as a police officer. And, I went back the next day, and I didn't get to do that here. And, was January 6th traumatic? Yes. Was it more traumatic than other experiences in my career? I don't know. What was traumatic was everything that happened afterwards. I go to therapy every week, and my therapist is like, well, I specialize in trauma therapy, and what's unique about your situation is that the trauma for everyone else, it ends at a certain, there's a beginning to it and an end to it, and obviously you deal with the after effects, but there's no end. We're still living in the midst of my fucking trauma. I've got a president that fucking pardoned all the people that assaulted me, called them patriots. 50% of the country thinks I'm a traitor to the country. I get death threats every single fucking day. I lost my career. I lost my friends. I had my entire life turned upside down, all because of me doing my job.
I can't draw a straight line between this and the 6th, but I've been diagnosed with major depressive disorder, anxiety adjustment disorder, and PTSD symptoms. But fundamentally, I'm still the same person. I still value the same things. I still want the same things. It's made me a little sadder because I was really hopeful after the 6th that this is it. That nobody can see what just transpired here and want to support these people anymore. That's made me sad. It's made me a little bitter about humanity, but not completely. I still have hope. I still believe that, we can be better.
Stay there and make sure you're okay. I can't find anything obvious.
Thanks.
Yeah.